Hey everyone, I have a Chalons code, so use the code word Chalons for Aptoide. I'm going to pump out a lot of content this weekend to help you guys prepare for Chalons. So, this is a matchup that I have not experienced yet. I have not played against NEF in any of my BOCs or BOGs just because I haven't really been able to play often. So, we got matched up with NEF, and it's difficult being matched up against an alliance that is so much bigger than you and they just outpower you and they're just huge. So, in order to kind of figure out how to maneuver this, in the very beginning, you can tell that they're going for the portals. You can tell that they're going for all the mids and they're going to just zero the shit out of everybody until there's nobody really left to stay fighting except for the big keeps. So, I'm already getting attacked, and so are other people. And this is the problem with having pre-reans. Now, I understand pre-reans for certain matches, and I understand it for being a solo deterrent, but it should never be a form of relying on your gameplay because it causes your players to be very complacent and lazy. And it's not that like we're super slow, like, because literally I know I'm not super slow, but with reinforcements out, and especially if you have 2 or 3 marches out, it is going to be very slow to recall all those marches, then to teleport and jump. So really work with your team on when a pre-reinforcement plan is appropriate and when it's not. Don't have your mids run this. You need to have your top players run this because it doesn't make any sense to put in reinforcements into a middle player that's a point pinata, right? Then you go up against a matchup like this and then you're basically it's just a loss, right? Like all of those troops are lost. So you have to be strategic in the sense of what you do with your reinforcement plan. Now, I'm not going to give you guys like too much like information on this because we're going to be competing in Chalons and everything, but I think it's one of those things to just look out for. And also when you're notice how I'm going after these portals. All right? Notice how we were down portals, and I know that that's what they're trying to do is they're trying to port lock us so that they can just demolish us. So the reason why I'm going after portals is number one, I always kind of do. Like, that is why I also cannot have extra marches out for reinforcing because I'm always playing the buildings with march speeds. And the reason why I do that is because not all of our smaller players who play portals can take on, people's full marches, or they can't take on, 100k layers, all that kind of stuff. So it is vital that you assign your players portal positions, and those people are not only doing cat and mouse and capturing the portal, but they also should be scouting it and sharing a report and saying really fast on comms, right? Hey, send cavalry, send ground. And if your players are knowledgeable on what counter to send, it'll be so much faster for your bigger players just to go ahead and send it and not splat, right? Because make sure that your portal players know like to scroll down and make sure there's no reinforcements and all that kind of stuff. But the reason why that is important is because you don't want to get port locked right off the bat of a game. Now, a lot of people will not join all of their keeps until all of their keeps have arrived, and it sucks. It does suck. I mean, we have sat for an hour or more waiting for a rally team to show up, and it's smart though, because why would you go in when your rally leader's not there? Why would you basically just go in and get zeroed, and then it doesn't matter if your rally leader shows up, a little bit later, they're not going to have any troops to actually do anything with. So sometimes you have to be strategic in who you bring in, and I know it sucks. Like, people, want to play and they save this, time. I know the slots that we play are very late for some people. So, and it sucks because then you don't get your prizes. And I know with BOG, everybody wants the commemorative coins, but it's important that you're learning strategy and you're learning how to fight a bigger alliance. And we have countless times played, like T-Same, he's a huge Japanese player that's a 45, and he's, super strong, and he will not have a very, very big team. So you really have to strategize on how you're going to get points without letting your middle players be the point pinatas of giving up points. So this is like why it's really important to understand what your team's ceiling is, especially if they don't know themselves. So if you see, like if you have a reinforcement and you see somebody bigger than you take a rally, completely get zeroed, you have to jump the F out of there. You can't be complacent and think, oh, I got reinforcement and I'm going to stay, because the game is swinging on the pendulum. So the last challenge and the one before, and the last All-Stars, defense was king. And I observed that, and I kept saying, guys, take the defense hits. You're going to make so much more points on defense. And I know how these mobile games play, so they have this pendulum where they favor the defense, and then they go favor the offense, and then they go back and forth, because it's the way that they keep people spending money, right? It keeps people who can't be the huge buffs, they can make points, they feel good, and then they're going to keep spending to keep that defense up. But then Evony will swing the shift to the offense, and then all of a sudden, those defenses that people bring up are not going to be able to withstand a T16 rally with 12 people inside, right? They're not going to be able to withstand a 100 million rally. So the way that Evony works is just basically, it's just a mechanical pendulum that goes back and forth. And so you have to go with that evolving. Like, you cannot stay rigid and this is how it's always been done, this is what we always do. You have to evolve, because I remember, back in the day, Val never reinforced. They never did pre-reins, and I get it. Like, I understand. Their strategy back in the day was just do these really fast rallies, because they outmaneuvered everybody that they came across, except for the big alliances, right? We still got beat up by VIG and RSP, but the majority of the alliances was basically just, doing really super fast rallies and hitting smalls, mids, and then going to the bigs. And it was just a big amount of coiners. But you will notice that every team is going to evolve, and the spend level is going to evolve, and you have to go along with where your team is going and figure out how you can maximize that. And sometimes you just need to recognize, what, we're not going to be able to be a top tier team if we keep pushing, certain castle levels, because those are not going to be effective in battlefields, right? So what's effective is like, it's effective to make sure that your rally top players have the buffs to basically sustain a lot of the mids, and then the mids have their defense built up so that they can sustain staying in the hive so they can join the rallies. And then you have the level of players that can ghost, that are solo traps, that know how to freaking port swap. They are so freaking fast, and we have some great ones. Dark World and Lumi, they're very, very good, and they're only on like 3 billion accounts. But those are keeps that will not give up too many points, right? Even if they get one hit zeroed or whatnot, they won't be giving up too many points. So you have there's like a very middle gray area that you don't want to be in, and that's lots of troops, low buffs, right? And you do not want to keep pushing those types of castles, the ones that are not evolving, the ones that are not upgrading. And it's fine if they can't, if they're free to play or whatever, that's fine. They need to make sure to build towards what the team needs then. So if they're not able to build up their stats and sustain hits, and they can only survive on reinforcements, then stop building troops, right? Tell them to stop fucking building troops. Build your buffs, keep yourself under 10 billion, right? Like, get your stats up, be able to take hits. And I have seen, like, on Weima's account right here, which is actually Piki's account, that account used to be kind of a point pinata, and he has just focus so much on buffs and upgrading his military academy that it has really, really like made his defense much stronger. And so what I have noticed are people who focus so much on the buffs instead of focusing on troops end up in the long run being able to sustain themselves. Now, when you do have a castle or keep that does have buffs, you will notice that adding troops is going to get you a lot more points in BOCs and BOGs. And the reason for that is, well, if you get hit on a defense and you have the buffs to sustain it, you're going to be killing a lot of top tier troops from rallies. But the biggest thing is when you send your March presets, you're going to get the most impact, right? You're going to get a huge impact on when you send a full proper March preset. But when you run out of troops really, really fast, especially like after 3 rallies and you're going down the tiers, you're not going to be doing as big of an impact of your marches. So you need to make sure that if you're going to set yourself up, so a lot of people set themselves up for max march capacity, and hey, more power to you. And I get it. March capacity is going to get you a huge chunk of points in the very beginning. But once you run out of those troops and you don't have troops to sustain your preset, you're going to start waning off on the points. And so for me, I actually don't do my March presets to the dragon buffs. I do it to my, my 100% March or 200% March. And that way, when I start getting my troops are getting chopped down over and over again, I can still sustain a proper preset. Now, you guys can argue with me in the comments. You can, tell me your points of view all you want, but I actually learned this from filling on another account. It was actually Tay's account, Talon. And I was like, wow, why am I surviving in so many rallies? It was only a 3 billion account, but I was able to survive and sustain. And it was because all of the marches were like layers and not a lot of top tier troops, but still was able to get, a lot of impact on points and score. Obviously not compared to all the other players in the team, but if you're just trying to get the 1,500 points and you're doing portals or whatnot, you're still helping the team. I have never been the top point taker in any BOC or BOG, so this just goes to show like how much this match kind of like was not a normal match. And it was really about restraint rather than going loose. And I think we all kind of like were holding on to like a 20 to 15K difference throughout the whole match. So that was kind of interesting. But at the very end, we were just like, you know what, let's just go rally everybody. Like, we're going to lose. And the thing is, that is not a good attitude to bring into the game, is to be like, oh, we're going to lose anyway. Because they could have totally kept rallying somebody over and over again and eventually cut through to make it, a positive. But at the same time, if you do that, but then these people port away and then you can't find them again, there is a risk of not winning by playing recklessly. So it's interesting that when you have a matchup that is a lot harder and a lot more difficult, you really do have to kind of use your brains over brawn. Now, let's face it, playing with brawn is a lot more fun, but that is kind of, what we were up against here. And of course, they have look at like how many big keeps they have, and they have multiple 45s. I actually didn't look at the reports to see if they all had T16. I'll have to look at it, but the reports when they hit me without any reinforcements, I will say it's okay. I wasn't too happy about losing 8 billion on a freaking hit, right? I wasn't happy losing 6 billion, but in like, it could have been way worse, but I kind of want to be way better. So having these really difficult matchups are actually going to inspire you and motivate you to actually work on your buffs, right? And so I have been really complacent, and as you guys know, I kind of just hoard everything and then just kind of do one thing at a time. So that's what I'm going to do. So after this match, this really did motivate me to be like, you know what? I need to upgrade my shit. Like I can't be losing 8 billion on one rally. Yeah, like, how is All Stars going to play out when it's all 45s in a rally, you know? So I think it's just one of those things where look at the positive. So when you go up against really, really big players, try to play. I mean, I don't think you should waste your speed ups. I don't think you should like go that hardcore unless you want to, unless you want to have fun. But I think it's one of those things where try to figure out how you can make points off of people when they're a lot harder of a matchup. And sometimes it is just letting people rally you. But just remember that that pendulum is swinging on the other way where it's favoring offense. And and offense will have its day. They'll start to shine again, and I'm sure for the next year, offense is going to be king, and then it's going to go back around, right? Like there's going to be a new dragon, or there's going to be a new something, and it's going to go back the other way. So the best thing you can do is just make sure that a keep that you're building is going to be beneficial to your alliance, and not to say that you know, you can't build troops blindly or anything like that. You know, a lot of people want to build up power. A lot of people are like, you know what? I don't want to be 10 billion power for 3 years. I actually want to be 20 billion. And you know what? It's your castle. Do what you want. But just remember that if you're asked to not join, you know, certain BOCs or BOGs because of the easy points that you would be, you know, you kind of have to respect that and understand that that is from a team perspective. And I think that is kind of difficult to balance out. But I think also that, you know, I think there's a lot of players that could actually be playing like portals a lot better. Like they could be doing that a lot more. We definitely kept buildings kind of like equal, so nobody really had, you know, massive building control, but you should be always on top of that. No matter how easy, no matter how hard the matchup is, you should always be training for that. It should not be up to just, you know, a couple of players playing portals. It's kind of a responsibility of the whole team to making sure that all of your buildings are blue, because that is going to come into play, and that's going to be really important when you're pushing your team for BOC or BOG wings, right? The building control is very important then when you're pushing somebody. So I think, you know, I don't know if this is any helpful to you guys, but the reason why I wanted to do this was because, you know, NEF is a very long-standing, respected team from C1, and I will have to say that I really miss Toy. Toy was like my favorite person from C1, and he was my favorite Australian, and I liked him way more than Big T. So I don't know. I wish Toy would have said goodbye, or I wish he would have joined Val. Because there's just like people in the community that you talk to a lot, and then, you know, they disappear, and it's sad. So I just want to give my respect to Toy, and, you know, just playing up against, you know, super, super big alliances. Obviously, they definitely school us. They teach us a lesson, and I think that it's only going to make you a stronger and better player if you can, you know, if your ego can handle it. Because, like, a lot of people can't handle getting beat, and I definitely can. Like, I think it's actually an honor when Vig and RSP, like, beat the crap out of us, because it makes us understand, like, how much further we need to go as a team before we actually will be, you know, in the elite bigger leagues. And it's okay if we're not going to make it anytime soon. It's okay if, you know, we keep evolving and, you know, things change. But I just want to say that I am super, super happy with our team. The moment you get rid of the BS, drama, and little fingers, like the ones really causing everything, you're going to realize that you have so many people that really want to play the game and want to just focus on the game, and you can really just hone in on the people that do align. And I am so impressed by the people that we got from our merge. They are not huge players, but they have really adapted and learned every single battlefield. Like Chucky is doing amazing on buildings. CZ is just a powerhouse that is going to be like, he's going to be scoring more points than I am very soon. So I just am very happy that it took a lot. It took us a lot to finally get to this point where, hey, we still get beat by NEF, but at least we're not getting beat by like 200k points, right? So that is the goal. And the biggest thing is to go into a match and do not set up the whole match saying, you know what, we're just going to lose and that's it. Actually go in there and be calm. You just want to be a calm presence. You guys are going to be fine. You know that, it's going to suck. You know that you're going to get a lot of rallies on you. You're going to get zeroed, but be calm. You have no idea the effect that a leader has when they are super calm despite, being against a bigger opponent. And, make sure that people, like the side people, if they start freaking out, just quiet them down and let them be calm. Because when you start panicking, you incite other people to panic, and then all of a sudden everyone's focusing on panicking and everyone's just losing track and getting zeroed, and it's bad. But when you're calm, you tend to observe and see a lot of things. You can see people getting rallied, you can see people tell them to teleport and all that kind of stuff. So I hope this helped you guys. I don't know. I thought it was kind of a fun video to make before Chalons of going up against bigger opponents, because obviously a lot of teams are going up against much bigger giants than them. And I think that we all have been in that situation of getting pummeled. It is just part of the game, and all you can do is try to get better and try to make your keep better and try to figure out how your keep and castle and gameplay can integrate with the team as a whole on a better level. So it's hard to kind of step back and feel like, hey, actually, I'm not going to build troops. I am going to do this to help the team. It is hard to do that. And I respect and admire people who have that mentality. And of course, these types of players are the ones that are going to get rewarded. These are the players that, hey, our big players get, red subs all the time. We're going to want to make sure that these people, even the people that are just doing portals, those people deserve medals, right? Because they are such a integral part of the gameplay. So just remember, your team as a whole is more important than just one individual. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you soon. Good luck in Chalons.